and into the third hour of our conversations for this morning. And we're going to now, it's going to maybe crank it up a little bit, because we're going to talk about what's necessary to ensure that we do not have a catastrophe come 2027 in terms of what we see currently happening around this time. And joining us to talk about lessons from 2007 post-election violence, what have we learned ahead of 2027? Eric Okeyo, security and governance expert, is here with us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for being here.
And good morning, our listeners.
Dennis Aseto is here.
Yes.
The last time you were here, he had trotted off to do, serve the nation. He goes around the African continent every week,
yes.
Comes back from a particular country,
yes.
with their proverbs, and then you get the distinct privilege,
yes.
of interpreting it.
Yes. Today we're in a country that is rich in different resources, starting from fish, where sardines is part of the fish that they do have. They have mackerel, octopus, and tuna, but they're equally rich in resources underneath the ground. So these would be gold, copper, gypsum, phosphate, as well as iron ore. So iron ore, as one of the major minerals that they do have, they have a train named after it, the iron ore train, which is longest and heaviest in the world, because of the job that it does. But the proverb that you get from the Islamic people of Mauritania is, when praying for a madman, never close your eyes. How would you interpret it?
Wow. When praying for a madman, never close your eyes. Interesting, but let me try. It almost means that the level of alertness ought to be very high in your environment and ecosystem. I think that's how I would take it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Being alert. Well interpreted.
Yes.
Indeed. 2007 still bears a bitter taste in the mouth of many people. And interestingly enough, not just in the mouths of many who witnessed the atrocities or the pure danger that there was at that time, but also external parties who saw what happened in Kenya and said, you know what, here's an opportunity for you to make good on that. But there's certain overtures that are playing around at the moment that could point to a possibly devastating situation come 2027, 20 years later in this election. And it seems that right now the rhythm that we are almost hearing, or being held captive audience to, is not very safe. Is it a little bit too much to be worried about, or should we just kind of say, okay, everybody tuck it in and let it slide?
Thank you, Doc. I think there's every reason to feel a bit bothered with what to expect next year from a perspective of security and safety. You almost want to say we have forgotten very fast that there are families that still have graves in their compounds. We lost 1,100 persons, and there was displacement of another approximately 600,000 to 700,000 Kenyans. These families will never heal, will never forget. It's easy to say heal. But when we now bring a discussion such as this one, I want you to imagine a family that is listening to us that was directly affected. The trauma continues. But Udwak, how did it start? It started from what I would call the failure by the then Electoral Commission to do the right thing. Because days into 27th, 28th of December of that year, it was clear that as the results were streaming, 180 in the then 210 was showing a clear pattern of loss and win for then Kibaki and Raila. And then suddenly the numbers changed in a manner that the public was not able to buy. And by the way, I must tell you that I was caught in that melee also that time. I had voted I vote up country in Kisumu. So I'd voted, and we were now with my family driving through Kabarnet, coming to Nakuru. I remember we had stopped at Lake Bogoria for the night. This is the time when the results were declared and the swearing in took place. We had to get police security from Bogoria to Nakuru because it was impossible. The lesson we should learn from this is 1 year to another election, how civil should our political leaders be? They are the fuel that will burn the country. When you hear some of them say, even if the votes will not be enough, they will add them. Add them from where? Because you see, that is how the suspicion begins. I think when I was here last, this is my second time, when I was here last, we touched a bit about Olkalau at that time.
Right.
And we said government invested too much resource in Olkalau until other Kenyans almost were praying their MPs die so that development goes. Because if that is how then development comes. But I fear the recklessness that is in the political divide. But admittedly, Kenyans are more enlightened now than they were in 2007. And actually, this by-election in Olkalau has shown them that, wait a minute, you can vote and just be there to see how the votes are taken to the tallying center and then counted. But I think this recklessness, and you look at the response by the security apparatus, the cabinet secretary and his peers for internal security, inspire no confidence. Every time you see Kipchumba Murkomen, it's like he dreams about Gachagua, because he speaks about Gachagua every day, forgetting to speak about how to secure the country. If I were in their shoes, this is that time to do round within the country and with NCIC and preach peace. And say, like Rupiah Banda said, one day after an election, there will be a day after an election. There will still be Kenya. But if we let the political upheaval continue like this, first of all, the citizens are economically stressed. If you watched the weekend event in Kilgoris of the president's daughter, you could see a barrier between the event and the people of Intona, the people of that environment. Some that you would think were struggling to get basic needs, school fees to take their children to school. And there was a frenzy of choppers, countless, I think over 50 choppers that were there. You are provoking the citizen. You are provoking a poor citizen who is struggling to take their child to school by unnecessary largesse, grandiose and opulence, which only instills more anger in them. And that's why a few kilometers away, in the same Narok County, again, there was Gachagua, and you saw how he was being welcomed. So, and we have a government also that found coffers which were empty. So there was nothing in the coffers. But 4 years later, I see people weighing money with a weighing scale. This is what annoys the country. This is why I'm saying if the lesson hasn't been learned and we are continuing like this, and you have said you will fill the ballot box regardless of the voter turnout, the citizen will then say, look, I have every reason to now die for this than every reason to live for. And I think that's where Kenyans have been pushed to reach. Did you see a clip of some young boys in Hurlingham using a rope on the road and asking motorists for money? So which country is that one now?
I mean, Eric, the issues you raise are fundamental. And at the center of all this has to go directly to how the political class is behaving in the country today. Because it is the very same political class where you'll say, fine, we will stuff the ballot boxes.
Yes.
Mtadu, we'll do what we want. Mtadu.
Correct.
You know, if they come here, we will protect the government, shoot them in the, to kill them, shoot them in the leg. And this is about handling security of the country. As we get there, Kenyans as well have to be assured of their security. If not, many have said, we will protect ourselves, because even the police themselves, we don't trust them. If you go to Kalau, Kenyans stopped police officers, ransacked them. Why? Because they did not trust that police officers would protect them and their vote. As we approach 2027, the political class must behave in what way to inspire confidence, especially coming from government.
Good. Dennis, thank you very much. You brought it as bluntly as I was going to do, but I was just still building further. The first responsibility of any sane government, I emphasize the word sane, the primary responsibility of any sane government is protection of life and property. Full stop. It's not building of roads and bridges. Because who are you building them for if we are, people are not safe and they are being killed and they can't drive home and so on? I have been in various TV stations with political leaders who support government. And they have said shamelessly that they have goons.
Yes.
So a country that is breeding gangsters, actually, me, I call them gangsters. They are criminals. Call them for who they are. But they are being bred by government. You see the PS for Interior, when he is in Luo Nyanza, he has a convoy of these criminals. One time, a provincial administrator in Nyanza told me, but what do we do? Because they're the ones who know when the PS is coming and where he's going to. So we just have to drive behind them. Now, you see, we have just about 200,000 policemen in the country. Even if you go by the UN ratio of a police officer should take care of not more than 20 persons. That's the expectation internationally. But we are 60 million of us with 200,000 policemen, and maybe 30 or 40% of that number is in all manner of amorphous responsibility of guarding VIPs and running as advanced party all over. During elections, each polling station is required to have 2 police officers only. But we will have 47,000 polling stations next year. Times 2 is 94,000 police officers. Which means the manner in which police were abused in Olkalao will no longer be available. Because they will be stretched to the core, to the extent where the Inspector General of Police will be forced to issue a gazette notice of appointment of, what is it usually called? Temporary policemen for the purpose of elections. That's how you now see prison warders outside out of prison into the streets.
KWS.
KWS, yes. That time, they have been gazetted by the IG as temporary policemen. They are still not enough. So if the citizens decide, no, now what we want to do is different from what you are attempting to enforce on us, the citizens will overrun these agents. I can almost predict a situation where the citizens will go exactly the way it was happening in Olkalao. They'll just say, no, you come with your vehicles, park outside the polling station, walk in, let's see that your bag is only carrying your attire or warmth or food for the evening, and not ballot papers. It is because the confidence level of Kenyans has gone. Small things point to how next year can be.
Right.
We saw Dr. Mutiso, God bless her soul, was shot dead just around Upper Hill. And all of us, me included, believed that the killers were criminals and were going to be tracked down. Rigathi Gachagua said no. There were policemen who were being protected, that the killers were police.
And we thought him mad.
And everyone didn't believe Gachagua. Until Mohamed Amin, the director of criminal investigations, called a presser, corroborating every account of Gachagua. Had Gachagua not spoken, would Amin have spoken? That's how you begin that conversation. And if police are now hitmen for hire, using guns bought by the taxpayers' money that should be used to protect property and life, and is now being used in some unnecessary family feud to kill an innocent professional. Doesn't matter who she was. She didn't have to be killed by law enforcers who have gone to Kiganjo using the taxpayers' money, sworn to uphold the rule of the law. So, and then, did you see the pattern that all the three police officers belong to a single ethnic community? That's risky. Because then, in the mind of the country, fear will be getting towards a particular sphere. And that's very, very dangerous.
It's interesting that you bring this up, Eric, because I think back to the case studies that we did during my international humanitarian law class of internal conflicts around the world and how they happened, which unfortunately saw many an individual make their way to the international criminal court. Right? And some of the recipes or some of the elements of conflict are the same. They are mirrored. They were mirrored in Yugoslavia. They were mirrored in Sierra Leone, mirrored in Liberia, mirrored in Rwanda. And we see them here. Happened in 2007. And if you look at every one of these countries that I've mentioned, the conflict was internal, but the elements of that conflict were perpetrated by a few. And some of the things that you bring up, they might seem subliminal. You can't really tell what they are. But if you allow them to fester, you then have a problem that you cannot deal with later. The hiring of people from one community. And you think that it doesn't have a problem today, but then seeing how this plays out in the minds of people later, then is an element or recipe for disaster. Now, who then bells the cat? When you're dealing with things like this, when you talk about internal conflict and the things that happen as a result of that, people are tired of being harassed, beaten, killed, disappeared by the police. They're tired. People do not want anymore to hear this thing of Tutajaza Debe. Nobody is interested in that. People have become... They have evolved in their political education or literacy and have said, we do not want this kind of thing anymore. People are exhausted when it comes to this thing that if I'm protesting about something for my rights and I'm beaten to a pulp, we don't want that anymore. But if you are seeing that that is what the temperament will be, those are the things that lead to internal conflict. Can you blame the people then who then take up the mantle to say, we don't want this anymore, whether it is an election, whether it is a protest, whatever the case may be?
Udok, you see.
Oh, by the way, I know we look alike, but
Yes.
this is Ndu. The other one is Udwa.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Sorry about that. So let me tell you, the 2007 post-election violence led to the deaths of 1,100 people. Some, when you remember, even that church in Eldoret, Kiamba Church, where even those who were attempting to survive and were running out were being returned into the inferno. And you are wondering, were we human beings that day, or we stopped being human beings? Because there comes a time you say we are human, doesn't matter the diversity of ethnic orientation. But I still blame government, whether this one or the government that successively came. Persons were taken to the ICC. The ICC case was a strong one to have been admitted. But it dropped. Those suspects who were taken to ICC came back home. Witnesses began recanting statements. When they were recanting statements, were they induced or were they threatened? There are reports.
Yes.
They recorded statements, eventually recommended very many measures to return confidence and harmony among Kenyans. If you look at that post-election violence, it targeted a specific community in Kenya. The conflict was internal, but it sporadically went to target persons of the community of the Kikuyu, because President Mwai Kibaki was, he was Kikuyu. May he rest in peace. So this led to even a Kikuyu who had not voted but was living in Kisumu to become threatened. Many of them were displaced. I remember in my house in Kisumu, I hosted many families from the Kikuyu community. Many. At some point, I nearly became a victim of hoarding them. But they had been our friends until the election results were out. You didn't even know who they voted for. The risk that this portends is that today we have a president of the Kalenjin ethnicity, with political allies who speak his community spewing more hate than sobriety, saying it is always two-term, it must be two-term.
We must win.
It cannot be a statement of it must be two-term. Then why are we going to polls? Then just give him his second term, he continues. But if we are going to polls, the understanding must be that the two-term is not guaranteed until we vote. And that's why Gachagua was saying in his assessment, this is the scorecard. And the meeting of We Must Win in Naivasha had to come to a standstill to respond to the Gachagua issues. Kenyans have gotten to a level where they now believe that Gachagua has a way of getting information. There was a time he called a presser. He said the president is going to unveil something called 2060, Vision 2060. It came out to have been as accurately as that. If a speech can leak before it is read, what is it telling you as the leader? What is it telling you as the leader? The trouble Kenyans are having, which will bring this internal conflict, are those talks.
Sorry, can I pick at that a little bit?
Yes.
Because you said, what does that say? Because the only way for such sensitive information to leak is that there's somebody who's sharing it and maybe doesn't feel like whatever is going on is right, or that they're uncomfortable with the status quo.
Correct.
Wouldn't that be the only way that this information was getting?
Exactly, because this information is coming from right in State House. There is a speech writer. Actually, speech writing is a sort of a unit in State House.
Yes.
Yeah? The people who write it take it to the president. He reads, he says, correct here, it is returned. Between that time, the correction and the proofreading, it has reached Gachagua. It means the people around the president who are speaking the language of Kenyans that, wait a minute, there is a problem.
Yeah.
This is not what Kenyans actually expect. This is not what you're supposed to go and treat them to. If I were the president, for example, today, I would be speaking about harmony towards 2027. Dennis, I would be saying, look, I have had the singular privilege to have been your president for these first 4 years. We are starting the 5th one. And I look forward to a very peaceful year. Let's be peaceful. If you think we did well, we will deserve our second term. If, on the other hand, you think we need to go, because I tell you, if you ask Kenyans today, without regard to any ethnicity, even if you started in South Rift, I said Narok is in Rift Valley. It had a by-election the other day, 2 by-elections, one for an MCA in Narok town, and DCP candidate won, beating a UDA candidate. In Emurua Dikir, where Joanna Ngeno died, a DCP candidate got half the votes of the winner, 10,500 thereabout. Those are not Kikuyus, because the response we get rapidly from the president's supporters is of a Gachagua who is tribal and sees nothing in any mirror unless it is about the Kikuyu. But the voters who are in Emurua Dikir are predominantly Kalenjin. So these ones agree with Gachagua.
Yep.
Do you remember there was a time Gachagua spoke on phone to people in Northeastern, and there were demos in Northeastern province. So 2007 will be peaceful if government sets a tone of peace and a tone of accepting the will of the people. The tone must begin from government. They're the ones who have power. They're the ones who have the sword. He must call his boys to order and tell them, no, power belongs to the people. The people have on their own delegated it to us. Did you know our constitution also allows Kenyans to exercise their power directly without donating it to their leaders? So these people forget the power is donated by a person who can take back power and exercise it originally.
I mean, I know we're taking a short commercial break. We look at the weather and traffic, then we come back and continue the conversation. I would want us to look at even what the national anthem says, and maybe we'll draw from that.
Okay, let's take that break. We'll come back, and we know that the live stream, rather the setup is already at KICC. There's future conversation happening this morning. We'll probably come back and tap into that. Eric Okeyo is with us this morning, and we're looking at issues around, if you're going to secure the nation for the future, you need to start having that conversation now.
Yes.
All right, we'll come back and continue with this after the short break.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Traffic.
All right, so busy in the city this morning. It's coming into the CBD, still pretty heavy as you're trying to get towards the city, coming off of Uhuru Highway, rather towards Uhuru Highway, coming off through towards Haile Selassie. It's busy there this morning, and it's going to be busy into the CBD for most parts of the morning from what we can see. The Thika Superhighway is not too bad, just around the Pangani Underpass as you come into town. And then as you come in from Limuru Road, in from the Village Market and United Nations Avenue, it's busy here as well this morning. We're keeping an eye on all of this and keeping it moving. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
Habari ndio hii. StarTimes tumejiamulia kukupa raha bila limit. This August, renew your monthly subscription and give your little ones a holiday packed with cartoons, imagination, adventure, and so much fun. Discover magical first discoveries on Baby TV. Enjoy Princess Doremi and Super Wings on ST Kids. Catch Fireman Sam and Thomas and Friends on Jim Jam. Step into the action with Avatar: The Last Airbender on ST Tunes. Buy the aerial decoder at only 1,399 shillings and the dish decoder at only 2,499 shillings. Get connected at any of our dealer shops countrywide. Dial star 858.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, continuing with Eric Okeyo this morning, and we continue into that, saying how are we setting the conversation?
Yes, how are we setting the conversation? But then again, we have established on this show again that it starts right or it starts wrong, depending on policies that you've put in place. And why do I go there? If you just look at the national anthem, the first answer, O God of all creation, bless this our land and nation, justice be our shield and defender. Our national anthem has been touted to be a prayer. It's a prayer to God, let justice be our shield and defender. Yet when you talk about justice be our shield and defender, and you hear statements that are being made, shoot to kill, shoot on the leg, shoot, we will defend you, we are the government. We are starting wrong, because that is the basis upon which then wananchi will either get to trust you with their security or not. When you hear the leader of government saying, mambo ni matatu, at that point, justice is no longer our shield and defender. No. We have abandoned the shield and defender, and we are taking matters into our own hands, disabusing the criminal justice system that Kenyans have donated to themselves through the constitution that will determine mambo ni gani. You get arrested, you are prosecuted, then the judiciary system decides where it is you are going. When we look at the law as a suggestion, how do you expect that wananchi will look at the law and trust that it is protecting them? Because many are saying, if I see goons, I will protect myself. Why? Because you've seen goons with the police.
And that's what I said, that Kenyans will respond in equal measure from what government serves. When you see someone like the Honorable Gachagua getting real-time supposed classified and secretive government operational briefs, it tells you that people in that ecosystem think that, there's a saying where I come from, that fish rots only from the head. So we have a head here who is saying, put this mambo mambo ni matatu, mambo ya aje, mambo ni matatu. You see, when you have a situation of the security apparatus believing that the people responsible for them are unsuitable for office, for one reason or another, the reaction is what you see. I was talking to a county commissioner somewhere, and he told me, look, we no longer do anything. We just wait for a call from Nairobi about a visitor who comes here. Then I put on my uniform, get a tree for that visitor to plant, take him around. When he leaves, I remove my uniform and retreat to be a Kenyan. They can talk from Nairobi. This is a person in charge of the County Security and Intelligence Committee in a county. The National Intelligence Coordinator of that county works under him. The Kenya Forest, Kenya Wildlife, NYS, Police, DCI, Administration Police. So, and I always say, even the police officers are from our regions. They're our brothers and our sisters. You will give them wrong instructions, and they will sometimes follow, sometimes they will not follow. A few of them who have been arrested are taking plea. You remember Talam with the case of Ojwang? Where is Talam now? He's in remand. But that day, Muhwana was saying a call came from the boss that they allow some visitors to visit this suspect. And all of us saw what happened. So I think that the level of confidence of Mwananchi, if they were asked with the police, is zero. And they have seen police come with goons. Something very scary. I was in some social place one day, a high-end place where you wouldn't expect goons. But there was a political leader and there were goons. And in the middle of the meeting, one of the goons was saying he was running to Jogo House. They had been called for an assignment. And that's the day Kina Gachagua were to go to Jogo, was it the IG's office and then Gikomba, you see. And you remember they were attacked by goons. So, and those goons were not arrested. The ones that attacked Senator Osotsi in Kisumu, Murkomen said they had gone to the neighboring country.
Yeah.
What happened to our mutual legal assistance relationship of us and our neighbors? If goons who attack an elected leader go to a neighboring country, Kizza Besigye was here.
Yes,
he was handed over. So, and that means that Murkomen knows where they have gone to. So why is he still Minister of Security? So this is where we're heading to, that the country is moving into an election. Even this conversation about Vision 2060 is irrelevant if you ask me 1 year to elections. It's a diversionary tactic. Face the country and say we have an election next year. We do not want to return 20 years ago to conflict. Are there signs that there will be conflict? Yes, there are signs that there will be conflict. Because if you are saying utajaza, na sisi tunaona ni kama mpati, then mahali mnajazia, shida itaanzia hapo. And I told you, the moment mwananchi has no money in his pocket, the moment they are not sure about what they will have for food, the moment they don't have that mattress and you want to bring it during a by-election, they know you are abusing them. Do you know even a madman in the market center? If you hit him with a vehicle, then you realize he has a cousin who is a lawyer. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah?
True.
So don't abuse anybody. They are Kenyans. They are seeing that while they are struggling to make a living, the largesse and misuse of their resources by the government of the day that found empty coffers is that which no one can accept. And that's why Kenyans are almost saying, look, we can carry our flags and say, if this is how I'm going to die, I'll die for my country. But to shield ourselves, these goons are few. They only come because they're shielded by police, but they live among Kenyans in a place called Ahero in Kisumu County, where I come from. The citizens hunted down about 7 goons and killed them. Because they said every time we report them to police, they go in the morning, they return in the evening. They go in the morning, they return in the evening. They hunted down 7, killed. They have been buried. So that's where it is heading to. You saw the political leadership of, was it Sifuna? They were in Vihiga. Some people were attacked, sent to go and attack them. 1 or 2 were killed. There's now going to be another Linda Mwananchi rally in Homa Bay on Sunday. There's all mobilization by the state in a manner that suggests that there will be an attack. Why do you attack them? Why don't you just let them come to Homa Bay? Homa Bay is not Uganda. Homa Bay is not Tanzania. It is in Kenya. These are leaders within Kenya. So it is government that is provoking. It is government that is not going back to their files to see that it took a very small incident in 2007, where even Kivuitu said that someone was cooking the results. He didn't know. Even he said he did not know where the results were coming from. In one constituency, the voter turnout was 115%. Turnout cannot even be 100%. In that constituency, it was 115%. And Kivuitu said he did not know where they were being cooked. That's how it ended. It burnt the country. We nearly lost our country. We nearly lost this country. And people have moved on. But these are people who, by the way, will be having their tickets and passports in their jackets. Half the time, if you check, during the time of voting, their families have been moved. They are not here. They are on holiday. They don't even vote. So that if there is trouble, they sneak. They leave the other basic Kenyan who has nowhere to turn to face that wrath. And that's why the country, if it is deciding it has a bad government in town, the one that wants to shoot them in the leg, the one that says this election we must win. You cannot say you must win an election.
You can't win.
You can't say that.
Yeah.
Just offer yourself there and let's wait for the votes. It's 363 days today. A conversation in KICC ought to have been a peace-building caucus. Actually, if the president was serious, the interesting thing is he's not serious. If he was serious, a conversation across the 47 counties today should be hosted by county commissioners and county governors and bring people together, business community, faith-led people, and speak about securing our units and country and fabric, the way he read of our national anthem, beyond August of next year.
Do you think that where Kenyans are at the moment, that they would choose peace over anything else? Or are Kenyans at the point where they've evolved, where they say, for the sake of peace, we are going to demand that certain things be?
Yes.
That must you go through a place of conflict to achieve that peace? Must you?
The Kenyans would rather the second.
Okay.
Yes, of going through conflict to achieve it. Kenyans have reached a point where they think government listens only through action. And that's why I'm insisting that a conversation about 2060 now, 1 year to elections, is irrelevant, is diversionary, is not what anyone should listen to. People don't have food. People don't have food in 2026. Please, don't talk to us about 2060. And we have an election coming next year with a likelihood that you will lose election. So, the country can reset itself next year without you. Because if you say that, look, this election we must win, these people have no agenda. These people have an agenda to stop your theft. These people have an agenda to stop your misrule. These people have an agenda to stop your disrespect to the people who donated to you power. That's an agenda enough. Removal is an agenda. So there's an agenda to remove you, but at the ballot, we are saying you are bad for the country, bad for the harmony of it. You are supposed to be a symbol of national unity. Everyone who wakes up to speak in support of you spews hate. So you are a threat to the unity of the country. So the country is saying, wait a minute, we have an opportunity next year. We will wake up and go and extinguish you democratically and wait for you to hand over power. Now you see where two political leaders who are my friends but who support the broad-based government, these are elected MPs, have told me that, you know what, Eric? Even Kibaki lost, but he didn't hand over power. He was sworn in. We know we lose, but we'll not hand over. I said, my friend, you're an MP. This is Kenya 20 years later.
Yeah.
This is not Kenya of 2007. So they are also taking the citizens for granted. Now the citizens know that we can stop you. And you know, Olkalao is now a very good precedent. You can actually ask the people of Olkalao to lend the other country John Methu to bring them for tutorials. You know, there's a guy called John Methu,
the senator.
The senator of Nyandarua. I mean, the guy went down I mean, I don't know him in person. But I can't help admiring his resilience. He coordinated a campaign in the midst of a lot of difficulty and hostility, and still delivered. Now, you know why I can see light at the end of the tunnel, Dennis, next year, is because the amount of policemen that were deployed, because all those people who were hooded and were attacking journalists and attacking everybody, they were security agents. How come the vehicle of Honorable Kanini Kega was almost brought to a shell? Then his driver is still arrested for not having number plates. But there were very many other vehicles that didn't have number plates. But if there was an investigative expose by, I think, was it The Nation? I saw I saw a very good piece by the media, which was showing this is a vehicle here, this is this gentleman here, this is him now shooting, this is him. We have not seen them brought to book anywhere, meaning they were agents of government. The joy I have is that next year, that amount of police deployment would not be available for one polling station, because we will be requiring them in each of the 47,000 polling stations.
Eric, when you look at even those who oppose, because it's been said that anyone who's opposing government then, or who's criticizing government, has nothing to offer. But it has also been said that when someone tells you something is not working, it's because they want you to win. And how do you win? By fixing that which is not working. Because at the end of the day, you're the one who will take the accolades.
Yes.
If something is not working and someone is telling you it's not working, if you fix it, they say, now it's working, it is benefiting us. It is supporting you, but from the other side, they just want you to win. How relevant are Kenyans beyond an election and beyond the taxes that they pay? Because Kenyans become important during a campaign period. Kenyans become important when they're asked to pay taxes to fund government. But beyond that, mambo ni matatu. Beyond that, mtadu. Beyond that, we will starve.
You see, Dennis, the Kenyans, over the weekend, I was in my village and I just walked to the market center there, and every time now when the young people see vehicles, they are associated with political leaders asking for votes. And I called them, we had a talk, and I told them, okay, how much are you always given by a politician before you go and vote? So there are those who are saying 200, 300, 500, 2,000, 10,000. At that time, I told one of them, bring your phone out. Let's calculate how many days exist in a cycle of an election. And we got the number to be 1,865 days.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah? So I said, you are worth to that politician for the amount of money he gives you. Divide that amount of money with 1,865. Then you will see what your worth is to him. Sounded basic, but ended up being as painful as I had wanted it to come out. So,
It showed you're worth nothing.
it actually, yes.
You're worthless.
It's 0.0.0.
Yeah.
So I said, this is the time. And that's why I like young people who are coming to say, no, we are asking, how many young people do we have who are unemployed? I know we were talking about insecurity. There's something going on which no one is talking about also. There have been very many discharges from police colleges of recruits before passing out. This is serious. I want you to follow this.
Okay.
The police training college in Kiganjo, and there's another one in APTC here, and there's another one in Emali, all GSU training school. Someone should ask them to account for the entry recruits at the time the training began and today. Yes. Many of them, halfway of the training, have been discharged back to the society for want of this, midway into the training. What is that recipe for?
Disaster.
Some militia. Some militia that is being exposed back to the community. I like a conversation to speak from there. So that when the president goes for passing out, tell us how many officers have passed out. Someone in parliament ought to have told us when they reported there were this number. The ones that were released and they went where? How did they integrate in the community? They already know how to handle arms. So are you getting, Dennis? Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That the future, the smoke doesn't sound good, but it should be worth no life to remain in power.
It should
be worth no life for you to remain in power. If the country is done with you, don't cause blood for one Kenyan.
By insisting on staying. No better words can this conversation end on. And if it costs that for you to remain in power, let it go.
That's it.
Eric Okeyo is a governance and security expert and has been with us this morning. Eric, thank you. We're looking forward to the next one.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start